Welcome to Wild Flow, the podcast with me, your host, Charlotte Pointeau. I'm a wild feminine cycle coach here for the awakened woman who is ready to reclaim her body, menstrual cycle and feminine power, and to live, love and lead in flow with nature's wisdom. In this podcast, I'll share how you can live in sync with your menstrual cycle and life seasons, heal your relationship with your womb and rites of passages, and embody your wild feminine as a multi-passionate woman in life, mothering and business. It's your time to flourish as a cyclical being in this modern world. Are you ready? Let's flow. Welcome to another episode with me, Charlotte. It's lovely to have you here. So this is our 16th episode, which is amazing that we're here already. And I'm really excited to begin a new 4-part series. I'm going to talk to you more in depth about each phase of the menstrual cycle, what's going on and how you can really honor that from not just a physical point of view, but an energetic point of view, a spiritual point of view, from a real kind of embodied, self-aware, self-care, self-loving focus. So looking at what's going on in these deeper layers, these deeper realms and parts of ourselves, so that we can understand how to get the best out of this phase and how we might look to address some of the emotional or physical symptoms that we're feeling, perhaps looking at what we need and how we can alleviate some of that experience through more self-awareness of these other aspects of these phases of the cycle. So today we're beginning with the first phase of the menstrual cycle, which is the menstrual phase. So your period, the bleed, this being the first part of a cycle where a new cycle begins on day 1 of your period. But before we do that, I want to share with you my usual cycle check-in, give you a bit of an update as to where I'm at in my cycle. So today is day 20 of my cycle, and I think I might have just ovulated. I say think because without doing some serious testing on this, then like hormonal or blood tests, it's hard to be absolutely sure. But from following my cervical fluid and tracking my symptoms in my body, I think that I have just ovulated. So for me, I've had a real few days of a lot of cervical fluid, the fertile, wet cervical fluid that's really present for me when I the times when I have ovulated and the times when I've previously thought that I have ovulated but haven't. It's there's been some cervical fluid, but not in this quantity. So I'm learning what my baseline is over each cycle, and I'm pretty sure that that's what's been happening for me. I've also had some really quite present womb, sort of like a cramping feeling a little bit. And for me, it's been a little bit like a premenstrual kind of feeling. I've had it across the back of my pelvis and the front of my pelvis. So I've been sort of thinking, oh my gosh, like, is this premenstrual or, but I had this last time as well. It's not painful. It's just because I'm so connected to this part of my body, which I really learned to be this way during pregnancy, just became so attuned with exactly how my body was feeling all the times and perhaps overanalyzed it a little bit. I'm definitely prone to perhaps overanalyzing some of these feelings and symptoms as well, but I really have felt this feeling, and it's been like a slightly dull ache, but not low. It's been kind of more at the level of perhaps my ovaries. But yeah, in the middle as well as to the sides. So that's been interesting to note. And I think that's part of my ovulation experience at the minute. I've also had really tender breasts, but my daughter has just turned 2 and we just tried to take her out of her bedroom. Sorry, not out of her bedroom, out of her cot, and put her into a larger bed because she's so tall and strong and she's been climbing out of her cot. And I figured, well, she's climbing out anyway. I don't want her to have any accidents. Let's just pop the sides off her cot. And so she has been up all night for the last week or so, breastfeeding a lot all night. And so my breasts are feeling very tender because of that. But I also think I have some underlying a little bit of tenderness because of the peaking estrogen hormone as well that's present for me. I don't know if that's something that you experience or have noticed before. I haven't always, but at the minute, I think in combination with the breastfeeding, that's what's happening for me. And it's really funny because I've been saying, I think I'm ovulating. I'm meant to be in my peak of my cycle, but I'm bloody knackered. I'm so exhausted because of not sleeping. And so, again, coming back to the truth of what's my unique experience and asking you what your unique experience is. I've certainly not had a peak in energy. I feel absolutely exhausted. And I've been much more restful, much more slow, much more within. I've been cutting back on work. I've been lucky enough to be able to do that. This is a week where I'm not holding any online circles. Last week was massive in my work. I had multiple Zoom calls, multiple circles. My group program, the First Moon Circle Facilitator Training, 2 calls for that, and our alumni group coming together as well. I had some group guest teaching that I was doing. It's all kind of happened. There's been a lot. Multiple clients, so all coinciding at once. And normally ovulation for me would be a time when I could sustain that, but not this time, not without sleep. So I'll be interested to see what the rest of my cycle's like, whether this indeed has been ovulation and whether I'll bleed in a couple of weeks, and how that feels, how I experience my premenstrual phase, whether it's any different. Noting how I've just experienced this ovulation, and I'm really tired right now. So I'm really upping my self-care, really coming back to what I need and letting go of as much as I possibly can. But anyway, enough about that. Here we are today to talk about the spiritual practice of menstruation. And I want to, as I say, talk to you about what this part of your cycle is like, and go beyond just the physical and the biological and into the realm of the emotional layers, the mental layers, and the spiritual layers, to look at what opportunities are present within this, to look at how you experience your bleed, and to connect you with ways of supporting yourself so that this feels more supported for you, that you're able to navigate your period with perhaps more ease and less symptoms, but perhaps using it as a really beautiful opportunity to be introspective, and how to honor that, especially if this slowing is something that you really struggle with. So, basics. Your period, like I say, is the first phase of your menstrual cycle. So cycle and period not being the same thing. Your period is the time when your body bleeds. It's when your womb lining is being released, so it has built up over your last cycle. It's got nice and rich and juicy and thick, and to nourish and hopefully home a pregnancy if there has been one. But if you have ovulated, then you will bleed a couple of weeks from ovulation. And this period time, it's this time of release when this lining that's no longer needed is released and let go from the womb. So the period in a healthy adult cycle can last between 2 to 7 days and can be a flow of up to 80 mils blood loss. So if you're using a menstrual cup, that's something that you can identify quite easily. But if you're using pads and tampons, or even period underwear, it can be harder to define. But if you are bleeding for more than 7 days and it feels heavy to you, so if it's 80 mils or more and 7 days plus, then that's considered to be irregular and problematic and worth looking for help with that. So perhaps seeing a GP or whoever you go to for medical supports. A period usually in a regular cycle will come around every 21 to 35 days, and that's for adults as well. So that's the length of your menstrual cycle, your whole menstrual cycle being from the start of one period to the start of your next period. So it can be longer and shorter than this. And as you will know if you've been listening to this podcast, I've not had a 35-day cycle in a few years. Mine have been 80 plus, and the last one was 40 odd days. And I'm currently tracking at 20 days. So if I'm 20 days now and I've got 2 weeks left to go, then that would actually put me in that 34-day cycle. So that would be interesting. Let's see what happens. But it can actually, the length of your whole cycle as well can actually fluctuate by up to 9 days, and that still be normal. So if one cycle it's a 21-day cycle and the next day it's a 30-day cycle, so the next time it's a 30-day cycle, then that would be considered within a normal range for you. So during your bleed, your hormone levels have just dropped to their baseline level, and it's this drop that triggers the release of this womb lining, which is what you see as your period. So the blood, it's not just blood that comes out with your period, your bleed, it's the womb lining, tissue, cells, and this egg which has been released at ovulation and it's disintegrated. It's become what's called a corpus luteum, which means in Latin yellow body, and it just disintegrates and gets reabsorbed back into your womb. So all of these tissues would come out as well. You might even have some cervical fluid mixed in there, but you wouldn't particularly notice it. You might have clots, which is what happens when your flow is quite heavy. Your blood, as you know, your normal blood clots to stem the flow, and that can be, you might notice clots that are bigger than, I think it's, what is it? So it depends on the currency that we're dealing with, but a typical coin, if you think of a coin in your currency, if it's larger than a big coin, then that can be problematic. But you can also have just tissue, which might look stringy or even a bit clumpy, and that's just the tissue coming out of your womb. So if you're noticing lots of clumps and they're large, then that can be problematic as well, and worth looking into for help. So as your hormones drop, your energy drops. And like I say, this is what triggers your bleed. And then your bleed will last for a few days. You might have different flow across the different days. You might be somebody who starts with spotting for a couple of days, and then it starts to increase, and then it's heavy for a few days, and then it drops off again. Yours might be really heavy to start with and then tail off. Yours might be just quite sort of medium, steady the whole way through. That's your own pattern. It can change between cycles, and none of those are wrong. They're all completely normal. Physically, this is a time when some people might struggle. So are you somebody who struggles with your period? Different reasons for struggling can include pain, the pain of womb cramps, and your womb is cramping because it's trying to release the womb lining. So if it's struggling to release old stagnant blood, then you might have more cramps if your body can't let go. Other reasons are mood changes. You might have migraines. I used to have menstrual migraines. You might have endometriosis or other pelvic health conditions that are triggered by cyclic hormonal changes. So if you experience a lot of pain, crippling pain, that's beyond something that you can, sort of manage with lying down, resting, perhaps a heat pack, or even taking paracetamol. If it's worse than that, go and get help, because you might have an underlying condition. This is a whole other topic, but if this is something that you notice, then if I were you, I'd start to be Googling endometriosis and other pelvic health conditions, and seeking help and looking for what some of those symptoms are, to see if it's something that resonates for you. Other people just really struggle with lack of energy, slowing down, needing to stop, essentially. And that can be something that people struggle with. So we're going to talk about some of these aspects, what it means, what's going on, why it's happening, what you can do about it. So energetically, your bleed is a time when your body needs to slow down and reset itself. It's a bit like the death and the rebirth phase of the natural life cycle. It's a bit like, so we call it your inner winter, because it's like this time when everything has been released, let go of, all the life is hibernating, or like leaves on trees are dead, for example, and plants have let go of everything that they don't need at this time to overwinter. So it's a bit like this for yourself. Your body is kind of letting go of everything. You're literally and energetically clearing out, hibernating, coming back to rest and reset. So it's this massive time, this big opportunity for resets in your life, not just what your womb is doing innately by itself. So because of this, your hormones are low, and it's pulling you into a time of low, slow, quiet energy. Your body is releasing, and that does take energy. And because of this, your awareness is being called backwards within, inwards. So back out from the world and back into your body, back inwards into your inner world, to be introspective. It's a really potent time for introspection. It's a time of being energy, not doing energy. So you're being invited by your hormones to just simply be, to stop doing, stop do, and to just be you. And that can be really, really hard, super challenging for people, all kinds of people, to just simply be. To be without busying yourself, distracting yourself, without thinking, oh, I've got a bit of time, I should fill that. How can you just simply be who you are and be okay with just being? This can be super hard because our culture doesn't accept rest, and it doesn't like endings. It doesn't like death. It doesn't like this energy of endings and new beginnings. Collectively, we really like to be in the doing phase, in the outward, in the success. Like we don't like endings. We don't like grief. We don't like death. We don't even like the journey. We just want to be straight at the success point. We want to be at the end. We want to have reached the pinnacle. We want to be there. That's what our culture glorifies, being on all the time. And success and worth is very much tied to productivity. And so asking yourself, or the other menstruating people in your life, or your family in your life, to let you, as a person who bleeds, to simply be and to stop doing, wow, this can be really, really difficult for families and relationships and friendships and professional relationships as well to navigate. When we simply don't value the power of this reset, of this winter phase, then we're really screwing ourselves up long term. And we have to find a way of valuing it, of checking in, valuing it, learning to value this part of the cycle as being just as equally important a part of the cycle as all of the other phases. And we have to reclaim it for ourselves. We have to take it back. We have to rebel. We have to stand up and we have to say, no, I'm not going to hustle. I'm not going to burn myself out. I actually need a reset here. And your bleed is the perfect opportunity to do that. It's really imperative for our long-term health and our well-being, long-term and across your whole menstrual cycle, that you have this rest and this reset. So it's really a time of fueling the tank. It's a time to let go of dead matter, dead weight, things that are no longer serving you, what's not working for you, and coming back and going, right, how do I want to live differently? How do I want to be different? How do I want this cycle to be different? What do I need? How can I put myself first a little bit more? How can I honor this time and use this energy well, instead of fighting against it and being really afraid of it? So if we don't fill our tanks up here, you basically just crash when you get later on in your cycle. And this can be the mid part of your cycle, like where I am now. Like, I'm really tired because I've not been able to pace myself and sustain myself over the last week, what with my child being awake all night, every night for over a week, and simultaneously having a massive week of work, of things where I couldn't really let them go. It was not I wasn't able to reschedule kind of that late on. And also, your long-term health. If you're burning out now, or even if you feel like you can push on through this cycle, but if you keep doing that every cycle, there's going to come a point where you're going to get sick because you're so depleted, you're putting such a huge amount of stress on your body, and you're going to fall over. Something's got to give, right? Your period, this bleed time, this inner winter is the absolute most perfect opportunity to give yourself even just a teeny tiny fraction of space to come back to yourself, to rest, reset, and to ask people for help. So, how can we honor our bleed? How can we honor our needs? How can we honor this part of our cycle? And how can we say no to the people or the structures or the dynamics or the systems that we're in that are pushing us to just keep going? So this capitalist, patriarchal culture that we live in, like I say, it expects us to be on all the time. And that can be as parents, as business owners, as partners, as professionals, if you have a career, simply not set up to afford us this time and space. So you might be sat there thinking, well, I just can't do that. Like, that's very, very well and good for you. But I can't do that. I just simply can't do that. And if this is so, then this next little bit is especially for you. Okay. So every day of your bleed, even if you just simply take a moment to sit still, if you're at your desk, if you're still in bed, if you're at the breakfast table, or if you're on the couch, to just take one moment and just, you might like to close your eyes. You might just move your awareness inwards. Closing my eyes helps. Like, I do everything with eyes closed as much as I can, because otherwise I just get so distracted by what I see and what I hear and what I sense from around me. So closing my eyes does help me come back to myself. Now just take a breath in. And I've guided you through this before on previous podcast episodes, but just simply, how am I feeling? And not just, oh yeah, I'm okay, or I'm tired, because that's like the very surface level tension that you might feel. Give yourself a moment to drop beneath that. You're tired, and how are you feeling? Can you feel anything physically in your body, any sensation? Do you have a pain? Do you have tenderness? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you need the loo and you've just not been letting yourself go? Is it about time you went to go check on yourself at the toilet and see whether you need to freshen up? How are you feeling mentally? Are your thoughts racing around and you're trying to keep yourself switched on but struggling to because actually you're tired or you just feel a bit spacey and dreamy and you're not able to focus? And how are you feeling emotionally? Underneath all of this, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good and calm and rested? Are you feeling pretty good, like you've got energy? Are you feeling just desperate for someone to give you permission to take your foot off the gas and to just bloody have a minute to yourself? How are you feeling and what do you need? What can you do for yourself right now in this moment? Is it get a drink of water, have a snack? Is it stand up and move your body, just walk around the space for a minute? Or are you in a position where you can go for a walk, turn off your computer, stop and look out the window, breathe, move? If you can't have a nap, what would feel to you like just a moment to fill your tank up? Even just a fraction. Can you ask for help? So when I have my period, I'm like, everybody, I'm bleeding. It's my time. And I like kind of hand over reins and I go, right, Phil, my husband, I'm like, oh, can you please, can you just, get the kids into bed and can you cook dinner tonight? And I'm like, please. And he's like, yeah, sure. And, we have this thing where the girls will go and make me a cup of tea and they'll bring it to me and they'll go, we'll put you to bed, Mom. And so I just go, all right, sure. And I go lie down on my bed and they bring me this cup of tea and they go, night, Mom. And so I just kind of milk it for all I'm worth. And I'm there like just lying with my eyes closed and seeing how long I can get away with being there before I need to go and help actually put the kids to bed. But, it's the intention, right? It's the message that I'm giving that, hey, Mum needs rest too. Mum can't just always be on. And when her body is tired and when she's bleeding, this is a time when, the only time really, but it's like the time when I invite them to care for me. How can they use that natural, nurturing, caring energy that they have and they really want to use and express? And I give them permission to do that with no shame, no guilt. Like mum guilt can be rife at this point if you feel like you're not fully present or if you just don't have what it takes to keep going. It can be really challenging, but I really invite you, instead of feeling this mum guilt coming up and being like, how can I fight this? What can you do to just be like, well, this is okay. And I'm going to, instead of, fighting about it or insisting that I push on as like a martyr, how can I be like, well, actually, I'm going to invite some help in, and this might be help where you ask somebody who you work with to kind of step up a little bit, or you hand over certain types of jobs to them even if it's just for the day, the afternoon. Do you have to go to that meeting? Can they do some extra tasks for you? Can they be involved a little bit more? Do you have to do that laundry at home? Can it just sit there for a day or 2 or 3 or 4? Can you let go of? What can you let go of? And also this is a time when you might want to have already have meals prepared for you. It might be a time for quiet time. It might be a time for early nights. It might be time for backing off social media. It might be just, having a boundary in place around how much you engage with the outward world, after kids are in bed or after you've clocked off from work. What can you do differently that's allowing your awareness to move inwards, that's paying attention to how you're feeling and what you need, instead of being outwards and seeking connection all the time? It's not actually a time when you You actually just want to connect. It's a time of disconnecting, and that's perfectly okay. So, you might want to Netflix, you might want to read, you might want to journal, you might want to have a bath, you might want to just put a candle on, you might want to just sit quietly and have a cup of hot chocolate, or, even wine, or whatever feels good to you. Eat that chocolate, eat that ice cream, have a bowl of warm, nourishing soup or broth, whatever it is. Can you just take this time to come back to yourself? It's a time of being able to process feelings. So feelings can really come up for you. It can be a time of increased sensitivity naturally. You might notice this through dreams, daydreams, or night dreams. It might be your intuition, so your body-based wisdom, speaking to you through your internal felt senses. It might be a time when you just start to have realizations. I start to get some ideas, or start to kind of go, and get a sense of new possibilities that might might be fun to explore over the new cycle. Can you notice those things? Can you honor it and allow it just a smidge? It's not a time for starting anything new, but it's absolutely a time for sowing the seeds of intentions for the future. If you're listening to all of this going, nah, I just can't do that. Like, sure, whatever. No, not for me. Like, that's just not going to happen. Like, my reality means that's just not going to happen for me. I'm going to ask you some questions. Why? Why is that? Is it really true? What do you believe will happen if you stop? Do you not trust yourself to stop? What might break if you do stop? What is it that you might feel or know to be true? What will you come into contact with that you don't want to, that makes it easier to just push on? What truth is there? These are some pretty big questions, but they're there because this is the truth of it. Like, if you really struggle to rest and to ask for what you need and to give yourself what you need, why is that? If this is your reality, is it something that you are in, and because of your circumstance that you are in, and it's not safe for you to do that? Or if it is safe for you to honor this point in your cycle, from a baseline safety point of view, is it you then who's not allowing yourself? And why is that? Because if you don't do this, there are going to be consequences later on in your cycle and later on in your life. As I've said, it's really this deep calling to winter yourself, to hibernate, to let go, to really tune into this idea of it being a birth and a rebirth time. So it is a great time to reflect on what you want to change this cycle. Each menstrual cycle is an opportunity for growth that's inbuilt into your body. We're pretty lucky in that way, because men don't have this, and they can just carry on and carry on and carry on without realizing that they're not changing, they're not getting anywhere. Whereas our body, our bleed, it's like this wake up call. It's like, I'm gonna make you listen. And if you don't listen, then your physical symptoms and your emotional symptoms can be a lot worse. So by actually stopping and honoring your body, you can have less period pain, just for example, and your bleed might actually be less. So if your womb is trying to squeeze out blood like a muscle, it needs to contract and relax and contract and relax. If you're just pushing on all the time, you might actually just be holding your body, holding all of your muscles, tensing yourself up in this like grit of just having to push through. And if you do that, you're not actually allowing your muscles to be softened and to have the space that they need to contract and release and to let go of this blood. I wonder if you were able to give yourself just this little bit of time, particularly at the start of your period, whether you might notice a reduction in period pain. And your blood flow is associated with your energy flow. So if you're giving of yourself all the time, if you're still giving even in this time when you're meant to not be giving, when it's meant to be about you and about holding your energy, that can be mirrored in heavy blood loss from an energetic point of view. So if that's something that you notice, you might like to question, how can you hold your energy for yourself, even just a fraction more? So a beautiful, some rituals that I'd love to share with you to go with the flow of your cycle, pardon the pun, but include intention setting. So you probably heard of this one. So as I say, if this is the start of your cycle, how do you want to start as you mean to go on? What do you want to do differently? What intentions can you set? What possibilities can you open to? If you were going to dream big at this time, what might that be? Or what can you manifest if manifesting means to make real? So it's not a time of moving into action. That comes later. This is just very much casting a vision or a spell or your intention for what you would really like to focus on, to call into your orbit, into your life, your world, your business during this cycle. You might want to just journal on that and just write down ideas or desires or how you want to feel. It doesn't even have to be what you want to do, just how you want to feel, knowing that all possibilities are welcome. And this is not the time for refining those ideas and being realistic about what's possible. Don't dampen the fun, just let yourself go for it. I really like to journal to process the feelings and emotions that I'm feeling when I'm extra sensitive. So I identify as an empath. I'm very sensitive to moods and feelings, and I thought that was always a thing. I've always been able to tell exactly how people are feeling, and I've been so sensitive to wanting to, because I can tell that, wanting to make people feel good. And so I have to be really mindful of this, because I become really sensitive to what other people are thinking and feeling at this time, but also to my own feelings and thoughts and needs as well. And it can be a bit much. So I have to give myself permission, because nobody will do it for me, to have a boundary around what I'm prepared to do for other people at this point. And I'm not a selfish bitch for doing that. I'm not, I'm not greedy. I'm not a bad mom. I'm not a bad wife. I'm not, all of that stuff that can just fuck off for as much as I'm concerned. That's just not true. That's just conditioning put on us, and another way of scaring us from embracing this time in our cycle, but also this lower point, this less productive part of life and the cycle as well. So catching yourself in these thoughts. So I have to I like to process my feelings to work out what's mine and what's not mine, what's true and what's not true, to let all the emotions rise to the surface and be felt. I like to do hip spirals at this time because it feels good, especially with tenderness or cramps, or even if I don't have pain, I just like to bring gentle movement into my hips, and it helps to move blood as well. Walking can be good for that. Just really gentle movement, nothing that feels particularly like exercise, or certainly nothing that makes you out of breath. Just being gentle and letting your muscles soften and release. You might like to pick oracle cards for the 4 phases of your cycle ahead, and you can go back to an earlier episode. I don't actually know which number it is off the top of my head. The one with Claire Fole, where we used her new spacious oracle card deck, and we picked some cards for each phase of the menstrual cycle ahead. And that's something that I really love to do. So I pick my cards, I put them down on my altar, and I come to look at these cards when I feel myself shifting, transitioning into a new phase. If you don't have a cycle, you can do it for the moon phases as well. So one card for new moon, one card for the waxing half moon, another card for full moon, and one for the waning half moon. It's really lovely. It can just be something that you know, it's like a little gift to your future self, just a bit of guidance, just something to remember. And if you tie it into the intentions that you're setting now as well, then that can have extra beautiful meaning. If you listen back to the previous episode 15, I know it's big because it's the last one, on connecting to your womb through embodiment rituals, you can hear some things that I've shared in there about blood rites and connecting and honoring your womb space, which can be really nice to do at this time. And I was gifted some beautiful rose womb oil from one of my friends and teachers, Claire Baker, and it's just this beautiful, seriously gorgeous alchemical rose oil, and it's got some other oils in there too. And I love to put a dab on my womb and just really lavish it, just rub it in, smell it. I like to put it on my heart as well, particularly at the time when I'm bleeding. It just feels like something, you know, a way to remember that my body's doing this magnificent releasing and bleeding. And it can be, you know, really nice, especially if I'm feeling tired or if I am feeling any pain through cramping. And I've also got another oil. I make up these oils called moon drops, and that's got some clary sage and lavender and frankincense and rose oil as well. And clary sage is something you shouldn't use if you're pregnant, but it's really nice to use. I put it on my temples if I've got a headache. I put it on my wrists so I can smell it, and I slather it on my womb and my sacrum if I feel any tenderness there, because I do tend to. You know, if you center your cycle at the heart of all these aspects of your life, you'll get so much more out of it, because you're using your natural energies and really giving yourself what you need when you need it. So that's everything that I've got to share on this episode about your inner winter. There's more that we could go into, you know, in terms of you know, honoring the archetypes of the cycle, you know, eating for your cycle, so much more that you can do really to connect and honor this part of yourself. But this is, you know, I hope this gives you a really beautiful perspective of the opportunities and the energetic invitation that becomes present in your body if you are somebody who has a menstrual cycle. Using it as that opportunity, and if you really, really struggle with any of these, then giving yourself compassion and grace, but looking at how much you are not allowing yourself or holding yourself back from being able to embrace this, and why that might be, and how can you really slowly, gently start, particularly if you're somebody who struggles with unpleasant symptoms or side effects or experiences at this time. If you'd like to go deeper into your own unique cycle, so to learn how to connect with it by charting and by connecting with your womb, if you'd like to look at how you experience each phase of the cycle, what the opportunities and challenges are, and look at how you can call in the support that you need to feel more at ease and to enjoy your cycle and to have less symptoms, to really live in a cyclical way, you might be interested in a new course that I've put together. It's a really short 5-part video online course called Find Your Flow, and each video builds on the next one, and each one has its own workbook with the slides in there so you can print them off and keep it. There's journaling questions in there to help you to connect in with the prompts and to go deeper. And there's some worksheets as well and activities to really help you to acknowledge what's true for you and to call in the support that you're looking for, and to live in a better flow state across your whole cycle. So I'll put that link in the show note. That's called Find Your Flow, and that's a low-cost introduction to really partnering and co-creating with your cycle. What else? Oh, I've just opened a brand new free Facebook community for listeners of this podcast and people who are really interested in connecting further with their cyclical selves, with integrating cycle awareness, your menstrual cycle, or the greater seasons and cycles of life into all realms of your life. So to live, love, and lead in flow with your cycle. If this is something that you're interested in and you would like to be in a space where this is really honored and encouraged, you are so welcome to come and join us. We're going to be sharing some tips and information and prompts. There'll be opportunities and invites in there as well. But it's also just a place where you can be, like I say, with other women and people who have menstrual cycles, just on this path, a place where you're not doing it alone, you're not figuring it out alone. You can share, you can be supported and witnessed and held in that experience of being a cyclical person. So it's called the Wild Flow Circle. And I'll put the link in the show notes, and you are so welcome to come and join us anytime you like. Okay. Wishing you well, beautiful. Where are you in your cycle today? How are you feeling? And what do you need? Join us next time, where we're going to be talking about the next phase of the cycle, which will be the inner spring, or the pre-ovulation, also known as the follicular phase, which comes after your period ends, and how you can get the best out of that part of your cycle. Right, my loves, over and out. Catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening in. If you're loving this podcast and you'd love to help me spread the wisdom shared, please leave a review or rating, or share this with somebody who you think would love to listen in. I'm really passionate about creating ripples of change and getting this information to more women, girls, and people with a cycle, so that they can reclaim their cyclic natures too. And if you'd love to dive in deeper with learning more about how to connect with your cycle and rites of passages, come and join our free Wild Flow Circle community, or choose a course and learn with me on my online learning hub. All the links are in the show notes. And until next time, be well and go with the flow of your cyclic nature.